Hello again, it's good to see you. I hope that you're enjoying your day. Welcome to the dinner tag. My goodness, this was fun. I first saw it on my friend Jessica's channel, Jessica Green 518. I will link her in the description box below. I love to cook. I love to cook, and I love sharing different dinner ideas with friends and recipes. And because I have to admit, even though I love to cook, I often find myself kind of in a routine. I'm sure you do as well, because it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, you gotta eat, right? So I wanted to come on here and do this tag after I saw Jessica's answers, because there are days that I'm in a mom's group in my local area, and we'll talk about things like, what are you making for dinner tonight, and then we'll kind of put creative spins and twists on it, because there are some days you just look at your freezer and you're like, I don't even know. But even though I love to cook, I'm also very practical. So a lot of the recipes that I'm going to kind of talk about as we answer these questions for the tag, will be 5 ingredients or less, because I know when you're busy with work, you're busy with kids, you're busy with hectic schedules, you want something that is convenient and that's going to encourage you to cook at home instead of going through the drive-thru or going out for dinner. Because I found that, like, the more I get into trying broader recipes, or recipes that may be a little bit more involved, I'll go into restaurants and realize I can make those dishes at home, save the money, and so it makes me a little bit more excited to go home and cook, knowing that I can prepare those dishes for my family, using the ingredients I love. So there are 10 questions to this tag. Let's get into it. Number 1 is your favorite crock pot meal. My favorite crock pot meal is a different take on spaghetti. I actually found the recipe on Pinterest several years ago. I've been making it ever since. And basically it is a spaghetti squash spaghetti. You are replacing traditional noodles with spaghetti squash. It's the big yellow squash that you can find at your grocery store, and you want to cut it in half, put it in your crock pot, and then get a bag of frozen meatballs. You can get the Italian flavored, or you can go with the standard Swedish meatballs that don't really have any extra seasoning. Put all those in your crock pot. I upped the recipe, and I go on and dice up an onion and a bell pepper. Sometimes I will add mushrooms depending on how I'm feeling. Throw those all in, put it on low for 8 hours, and then put in your favorite. If you want to make your own spaghetti sauce or buy a jar version, put the spaghetti sauce in about 2 hours away from final cooking time. It is amazing. Amazing, because the spaghetti squash, you're going to go on and dish it out with a fork when it's nice and soft from cooking all day, and then the meatballs are awesome, and you can add those extra vegetables in to get your kids to eat more vegetables, or get your husband to eat more vegetables, or your boyfriend. And if you want extra, like a bread on the side, since you're not doing noodles anymore, I'll pop in a box of breadsticks or garlic bread that you can buy from the grocery store. No big deal. It's wonderful, and the leftovers on that are absolutely amazing. My family now prefers it to traditional spaghetti, because you still get that kind of starchy taste with the spaghetti squash that you would with noodles. The other thing I kind of do too is I'll kind of drizzle a little bit of olive oil to keep everything nice and moist as it cooks all day. But crock pot spaghetti squash is it's so good. All right, number 2 is your favorite easy cleanup meal. I have a couple that, okay, I'll do my balsamic pork chops for this one. It was a recipe that I learned years and years ago. If you're dating somebody and you want a really easy, looks awesome, pretty, it shows off culinary skills, but it's really easy to make, this is a great one to try out. Because I know it was one of those recipes that I learned how to make probably when I was a teenager, and then when my husband and I started dating, it was kind of my meal to impress him. You know how it goes. So this meal, you want a big skillet, and you basically take olive oil and butter, kind of eyeball it, put it in the bottom of the skillet because you want to melt them down. And then you saute some garlic for a few minutes, and then you're going to take bone-in pork chops, and cover them with a combination of flour and rosemary. Again, you just kind of eyeball it. If you want like a more structured recipe, go on and email me at beautymama@gmail.com. I will get that out to you because this is a fail-safe for me. But basically, you take the pork chop, put it in a bowl with the flour and rosemary, kind of do both sides. You put them all onto the skillet, and then you're going to brown each side for about, I usually need to do about 6 minutes if you do it on medium high. Then when you're done with the 5 to 6 minutes per side, you're going to take them out onto a plate, and then you're going to take a combination of 1/3 cup of balsamic vinegar mixed with some chicken broth, because basically as you brown the pork chops, that flour is going to create charred, I don't know what the correct term for it is, but it's going to make the bottom of your skillet just black with funk. And so you're going to take the vinegar and the chicken broth, blend them in together. It's going to create a lot of steam, so make sure that you have your fan on, your oven. But basically you're going to use that to kind of use your spatula and get up the black that's in the bottom. Let it boil down a little bit. You put your pork chops back in so that they stay nice, moist. They finish cooking. And that nice liquid solution of the vinegar and the balsamic vinegar and the chicken broth. And then while you're doing all that, you're going to cook some wild rice separately. I cheat and I use chicken broth instead of water, so it has a little bit of a richer flavor. And it is so delicious together. Again, the leftovers on that are insane good. And then you can always serve whatever vegetable you want on the side, whether you're a green bean fan, broccoli. My personal favorite, I take Brussels sprouts and I'll steam them, and then I'll kind of toss in a little bit of olive oil and some, you can do basil and salt and pepper, or you can do like rosemary, garlic, salt and pepper, so it kind of has a similar flavor to the pork chops. Crazy good. And like I said, if you want the structured recipe, go on and email me and I will get that out to you, because that is a staple at our house. I love that recipe. My kids love that recipe. My husband loves that recipe. And if you're having company, you can get packages of pork chops for like, I want to say you can get them with 6, sometimes even 8 if you shop at Kroger. I know at least here in Texas, I've been able to get packages of up to 8. So it's a great crowd-pleasing recipe, and it looks very fancy, very high-end, and it makes you look like you're this culinary master. You know, very easy. All right, number 3 is, what is your favorite Pinterest dish? There have been a few that I really love. I'll go on and put links to those in the description box below. The first one is, oh, so crazy good. I'm trying to remember. They are the Cafe or Caseria restaurant pork tacos. I don't remember, but you make them in the crock pot, and basically you're cooking a pork loin with ketchup, Dr. Pepper, garlic, salt and pepper. I don't remember what else you put in, but seriously, like those pork tacos, you make them the night of. You can put them with your traditional taco toppings, and then I use the leftovers and make like a fiesta bowl where I'll cook white rice, and I'll have like black beans and corn, and I'll put the pork in on top of that. Put some avocado on top. But like I said, I will leave that recipe in the description box below, because oh my word, it is so good. And you know, I'm sure you've probably already heard, but like cooking your meat with like Coke or Dr. Pepper in the crock pot, it just makes the meat fall off the bone. This is no joke. It is so sweet and tender, but you still get that saltiness, and then you have like the Tex-Mex flavor. You have to try this recipe. The only thing is, it makes a ton. So don't make it if you're only feeding yourself and one other person. Make it if you're having, you know, dinner with your family, or if you're, you know, feeding a couple extra friends for a meal, because it definitely makes a lot. But like I said, you can remix the leftovers, as we call it at our house. That way you don't feel like you're just eating the same meal over and over again. But that is yum. All right, number 4 is the healthiest dinner dish you make. I have to agree with Jessica. The healthiest dishes I make tend to be on nights that I make fish. There is another Pinterest recipe that I absolutely love. I will also include that in the description box below. It is basically, you can do baked or grilled salmon, and then it's a cucumber dill dressing to go on top. And the dressing has mayonnaise, sour cream, or you could use Greek yogurt if you are not a sour cream fan, dill, red onion, and English hothouse cucumbers. Every ingredient is very easy to find in the grocery store. You mix it up. That dressing will last you about 2 days if you're feeding a family of 4. And basically when you buy salmon, you can do the frozen fillets and bake them in the oven, or you can do the planked salmon and grill it. I know the recipe suggests grilled salmon, but you know, if you don't have access to a grill or you're trying to make it in the oven, bake it on 375 for 20 minutes. It'll be perfect every single time. But like I said, that one is probably the healthiest I make, and then I'll just serve like squash or something on the side, maybe have a roll, but typically those are really light nights for us. I also like to serve salmon and this cucumber dill salad with watermelon or something like really summery and fruity, just to keep the entire meal very light. All right, number 5 is the favorite soup that you make. My favorite soup in the entire world is a recipe that I grew up with for tortilla soup. And that recipe, you can find all different variations of tortilla soup depending on if you order it at restaurants. Everybody kind of has their own idea. The tortilla soup that I make, I go on and bake chicken before I put it in the pot. So bake it for an hour at like 350. Like get like chicken thighs and drumsticks and bake them so that way they stay very tender. Then like the actual soup has diced tomatoes, chicken broth, onion, salt and pepper. I haven't made tortilla soup in a while because it's usually a recipe I reserve for very, well, cold. I'm in Houston, but you know, fall and winter. And then basically after you make the entire soup broth, I go on and layer tortilla chips in the bottom of a bowl, top it with cheese, pour the soup broth on top, and then if you want, you can add avocado. But I will go on, if you're interested in that recipe, email me and I will get that to you, because I don't remember where. I think my mom got it from one of old Army friends perhaps, but I mean, it's the recipe that I grew up with. It's the recipe that I make. It also makes for a lot, but you can kind of dilute down how much chicken broth that you add into the recipe, so that way, you know, if you want a thicker, more stew-like recipe, or if you want to extend it out and feed a crowd, it's great for both. So let me know if you want the recipe for that. It's really, really good. Again, fantastic crowd pleaser. It's a huge hit with friends that I've made it for. I've made it for my husband's work multiple times because people have requested that. And if you want it to be easy, don't have to think about it, you can also make that in the crock pot as well if you don't want to let things simmer over the stove for hours on end. All right, number 6 is, what is your most unique dish? I don't have a signature dish, unless you would say like the balsamic pork chops. That's kind of unique to me. Gosh, well, it's not unique, but my husband thought this was really far out there, and friends that I've made this for have thought it was really far out there. But there was one time that I ordered chalupas in a Mexican restaurant. I want to say it was a few months ago, and I was very impressed with the presentation of it because they changed some of the ingredients and it just altered the flavor of the chalupa to something amazing. Like, it was utterly amazing. And so what that was is, if you're gonna make chalupas, go on and cook chicken. You can do it in the crock pot for about 2 hours on high. Go on and shred it up. You can add in taco seasoning if you want, or just salt and pepper and some garlic and olive oil so it stays moist. But what they did differently was, instead of using shredded lettuce on the tacos, they used cabbage. And then instead of like traditional, you know, cheddar cheese or, you know, Colby Jack or whatever, they used mozzarella. And so, you know, I tried it at home and it was absolutely good. I made the traditional chalupa. I did refried beans, or you can do black beans, the shredded chicken, the cabbage, the cheese, and then I went on and added avocado on top. It's really, really good. It's different. It's, you know, it's not the norm. So, I mean, that's why I guess my husband would say it's unique. people eat them that way all the time, but it does certainly change up the flavor of the recipe enough where you're like, this is different, this is fun, a little bit exciting, kind of get you out of your comfort zone if you're not really a cabbage fan. You want to use raw shredded cabbage, like you can buy the packages like you'll make for coleslaw. Just use that on top of your chalupas or your tacos. It's a great way to kind of change up the flavor a little bit. All right, number 7 is your favorite pasta dish. I think my favorite pasta dish ever is to make pad thai. I love, love spaghetti and things, but you know, typically when I make spaghetti, like my husband doesn't consider it spaghetti because I throw in every vegetable that I possibly can into spaghetti, so he's like, this is not spaghetti anymore. He wants like traditional noodles and meat sauce and call it good. But my favorite pasta dish would definitely be pad thai. If you're not allergic to peanuts, you can put peanuts on top. And in fact, I made a really awesome pad thai a couple of nights ago, and basically you just use the glass noodles. Bean sprouts, you can buy those in bags like at H-E-B. I know Kroger doesn't sell them, or at least our local Kroger doesn't sell bean sprouts anymore. And then you make like a peanut sauce. You can make it as spicy as you want, and you can add in grilled chicken. If you don't have a grill access near you, then you can just buy the bags of frozen chicken, frozen grilled, like fajita strips by Tyson. Those are really, really good to throw in there. And then you use like green onions. That was so good. And then eggs, because you want to scramble up eggs with your noodles. That was really good. So definitely like pad thai. And then like, you know, just kind of like what I was describing with the spaghetti squash and the crock pot recipe. That's, you know, our favorite kind of go-to pasta dish around. Or, you know, any of the kind of casseroles that you can do with spaghetti, like turkey spaghetti casserole. I'm sure you're probably familiar with that, like when you do leftovers from Thanksgiving and Christmas. But other than that, I don't really make a whole lot of pasta dishes at our house. It's something that I'm probably going to make as my son gets older, because he already eats like a grown man and he's only a kid. But right now I haven't really ventured into that many pasta dishes. Although Jessica mentioned a pasta carbonara dish. Those are good. And if you want an easy recipe like Cheesecake Factory, take the long rigatoni noodles, cook them in chicken broth, and then put cherry tomatoes, kind of cook them up in the skillet, or you can use fire roasted like diced tomatoes, and then mozzarella balls that you can buy in the refrigerated section of your grocery store, and fresh basil. That is really good. That was, I'm trying to remember what that dish is called. It's one of like the kid-friendly recipes, or it was on one of like the light pasta options. And then you can always add chicken to that too. That's really good. All right, number 8 is your kids' favorite dish. Hands down, all around, easiest chicken to make in the world. It is, well, we call it like magic chicken. It's the Herbes de Provence chicken. If you're walking around your grocery store in the pre-made seasoning aisle, you can now find it like ready to go for you. But it's basically, you want to take like a package of chicken thighs that have the skin and the bone, and chicken drumsticks. That way you get about 8 to 10 pieces of chicken, and you're going to put them you're going to line up a shallow pan with foil, put your oven on 425 to roast the chicken, and then you're going to take red potatoes, carrots, a quarter of a cup of white wine, and basically a palmful of Herbes de Provence seasoning. If you go to the grocery store in the seasoning aisles, McCormick now makes an Herbes de Provence chicken pre-seasoning packet that they have the recipe on the back of that. If you don't want to use white wine, you can always use chicken broth, and basically you mix that up. You put in your chicken to coat it with a little bit of olive oil. I think it's like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons. I just eyeball it, to be honest with you. You turn the chicken upside down on the pan, and then you coat the carrots, potatoes. I also add an onion in for extra flavoring into what's left of the seasoning. Pour it all on top. You're gonna bake the chicken for 45 minutes total, but after 30 minutes, you wanna take that chicken out of the oven and turn it where it's skin side up to finish roasting. It is so So good, so good. And then you can always serve it with green beans or broccoli or salad. Again, that is an awesome crowd pleaser. It looks a whole lot fancier than it actually is. And again, if you want to just make it easy, have the recipe, you can find the seasoning packets. It's a clear McCormick seasoning packet. I know not all stores carry it. I have not seen it at Target and Walmart yet, but if you have Kroger's, H-E-B's, Randall's, Publix, they do have them in there. Or if you want to save the money, because the seasoning packets are kind of on the expensive side. I want to say they're like $4. Just buy an Herbs to Provence seasoning. You find it with all the standard seasonings, and then you want to get, you know, some white wine, olive oil, and then as far as your potatoes, you want to do red potatoes. And typically I use about 6 to 7 and quarter them, and that way we have enough for leftovers. Get a small bag of baby carrots, and then just kind of a regular size yellow onion. You're good to go. Easy, easy, easy. All right, number 9 is your favorite dish that you would take to a potluck, a gathering, that sort of situation. For me, it depends on what we're doing, because there are a couple things that I reach for. If it's going to be a party that is like at night, it's going to be adults. If there's going to be liquor involved, I make a really good recipe called bourbon slush. If you want the recipe for that below, go on and email me, because that one I got from my mom years and years and years ago. And basically, it's orange juice, bourbon, and I want to say, is there apple juice in it? It's been a little bit since I've made it. But go on and email me if you want the recipe for that. Instant crowd pleaser, very, very tasty. It's great in the summertime, in the fall, especially if you're in the South, when it stays hot here for so long. But if it's like a church gathering or whatnot, it kind of depends on what is needed. If you like to bake, a crowd pleaser that I always reach for are mini cheesecakes, and basically you make them in muffin tins. You're using a vanilla wafer for your cheesecake crust, and then you're going for a typical cheesecake recipe. Again, email me if you want that. And then what I do with the muffin tins is I let them cool in the refrigerator overnight, and then I buy a couple kinds of like pie filling, whether it's cherry, blueberry, strawberry, or you can do like chocolate chips, and I kind of gauge what the crowd would want, and then use those to top the cheesecakes, because that recipe makes 24 cheesecakes, but it's very easy to double, triple, quadruple, or do whatever you need to do. So you could have like 1 pan of cherry, 1 pan of blueberry, 1 pan of strawberry, and that way everybody has something that they like. And then if it's more appetizer situation, I take a black bean and corn dip. I can also let you have that recipe. That one, the basic gist of it is black beans, red wine vinegar, corn, red onion. You can add avocado if you want. I'm trying to think what else is in that. Oh, I'll have to look. I'm actually going to be making it for Sunday for our mom's group, big old barbecue. So, but you can take, it makes a big bowl of that dip, and then you just bring a bag of tortilla chips. Always a crowd pleaser, very quickly. You don't have to worry about bringing leftovers home with that one. And then as far as like making main dishes and stuff, there are a couple of casseroles that I kind of reach for that have chicken and things, because if you're feeding a lot of men, you want to have something hearty and sustaining. Or lemonade pies. Those are really easy. And if you're, trying to, whether you're young and in an apartment, or whether you're feeding a family or going to a church potluck, that recipe for lemonade pie, you get a can of frozen lemonade concentrate. You can use pink lemonade, normal lemonade, or limeade. 2 graham cracker pie crust, a big tub of Cool Whip, and a can of sweetened condensed milk. You combine the lemonade concentrate, the milk, and you fold in the whipped cream, and basically pour them into, or stir them around, fold them in, make sure it's well mixed. Put them or divide them into the 2 graham cracker crusts, pop them in the refrigerator overnight, or if you're in a pinch like I typically am, pop them in the freezer. Those are fantastic, easy crowd pleasers. And again, while it's really hot outside, those are nice, refreshing desserts if you don't necessarily want something chocolatey. So those are definitely my kind of standard go-to things that I would take when I'm going and I'm not really sure what people are going to want. If it's people that know how I cook, and you know, they'll usually request something that I make. But those are always feel safe things to take. And number 10, I went on and added this as kind of a bonus question because number 10 on other videos that I'd seen besides Jessica's was tagged 3 people to do this. But I wanted number 10 to be kind of tell me about what your favorite seasoning is that you like to go to, because like I said, I love hearing what you make in your kitchen. I'm always on the hunt for new ideas. My favorite seasoning, you'll have it in just about every recipe that I make, is garlic. I love, love, love garlic. It's good for your heart. It's good for your digestive tract. So many good things. So I wanted to share that. And Rachel Ray tip that I learned back when I first got married and I was watching Rachel Ray that I still use to this day, and I wanted to share it. If you want evenly dispersed garlic, get one of the microplanes or the really small graters that you can get like at kitchen gadget stores. Use that with your garlic clove and shred it over the top of the grater, like a zester. Like a zester is a good way to say it. The correct term is microplane, but get like a zester to do your garlic. You will have perfect garlic flavor in every single bite instead of having clumps of garlic as you cook. So wanted to share that. Thank you, Rachel Ray, because that has been revolutionary in the way that I cook. So that is it. I hope that you enjoyed. I can't wait to see your answers because like I said, we can always keep the ideas flowing. And in fact, I was kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of toying with the idea of doing more sharing recipes and things like that because this is fun. It's good to share brand new ideas, and also to, you know, it kind of taps into some other interests on top of makeup because you know what? It's all a part of our daily lives. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.